I think this season is one of the more flexible seasons in terms of being able to pick either a Havoc, the Sharp Tooth, you're seeing the Heisted Breacher, you're seeing the Accelerant Maven, because each of them has its own sort of utility that goes along with it. The distance with the Sharp Tooth, the Pack-a-Punch with the Havoc, the speed boost with the Maven, and even being able to tear through builds with the Breacher. So it's all about your playstyle in this season, which is giving players a lot of flexibility in figuring out how they want to play.
This is going to be a test of their spirit, a test of their will. Mustache and Tayson somewhat split up right now, within touching distance, you'd say, but a max distance rotation to make. F9 and Moneymaker very much in between them right now. And we'll see how they choose to go about this. Mustache looking to run towards dead side, it seems. Is Tayson going to be following by? Yes, he is. He's the one leading the way, of course. And these guys are just going to move all the way around and avoid all that hassle on the other side of the zone.
Nobody in their path on the way there, except for the team that is just about to make it towards that edge of zone. It does look like there is a player trying to rotate behind him as well. As Vidil, Mr. Savage, 151, above the damage threshold. They're just trying to beeline it right to the center, go past everybody else, and that would be their opportunity to try to look back. And they're doing a good job of not being noticed by anybody that is there on the high ground, but Mr. Savage at the last moment gets tagged up just a little bit. Vidil just trying to build himself a little bit of defensive layers here between him and the possible enemies above him. In fact, it's actually looking like he's playing a little bit aggressive to try to push them off what loot he can take for his own.
Mr. Savage, a lot of eyes will be on them, already doing so well today. They're looking to try and continue that streak, remain in the top 5, and maybe even push their way higher than that. Not too far behind in terms of points to do so. Kiri and Ping have an interesting journey left in this game, right? They're going to have to try and find a refresh at some point, you think, with the material situation on Kiri. But just using this time they have right now to focus on getting their HP back up into a decent spot. F9 and Moneymaker are going to get chopped out here if they're not careful. They're literally connected by just one thing. And so dropping down to reconnect and strengthen their base. But if they're not careful, someone's going to come for it once again.
Phenomenal awareness to see that one coming and try to connect once again. Stash and Tayson, they made their rotation towards the slow side of the zone, but it's so small, there is no more slow side for a lot of these teams. They're still trying to continue to go from point A to point B. Mustache looking all around, making sure nobody is going to surprise him, and immediately spots somebody above, but down goes Savage yet again. Into the top 22, Vidil's going to have to do it as a solo, which is so possible because he's already done it once today. Quick edit, misses the shot, backtracks in his steps, piece control going on over to his opponent. Vidil looking like he's scrambling, but finds a way out in the end.
I'm just wondering who that was that he was fighting. They took his wall first time. It's not often you see that one happen to Vidil. Nevertheless, all eyes will be on him. Can he pull off another solo cut performance? This one's going to be a bit harder though, and it's not going to happen at all. Anchor is the one to take him down.
He's got a couple more placement points for his effort as we tune back into just Tayson, because Mustache got taken down not too long ago. Trying to spot some teams, trying to waterfall down. Any bit of damage here is good. As a solo, he's just trying to pick up any bit of a refresh to try to keep himself going, because right now he only has that wood. He's going to be running out of hard mats here in just a moment as he takes a beam, trying to edit out. He needs to find a couple of seconds to stabilize himself here in this position, but nobody wants to let that one go for free in this lobby.
Such a tough spot for Tayson to be in. And he's been in difficult situations before, but a long time since he's had to solo clutch on a no movement meta like this one. Drop down into that box for a moment. Now going to get the time to medkit. Going to use that timing to try and lurk in the back of the zone and get a refresh if he can. DKS and Box. They don't have to worry about that though. Still a duo in this game. It's Pink and Vico up above as well. So still many big names left in this one, but DKS is the one to eventually pick Tayson up.
This could be the game for Pink and Vico on the high ground, because nobody has a chance to even look up. Najim was trying to do it earlier on in the game, but their tables have definitely turned. Robab now becomes the focus. DKS down low towards the low ground with Vox just trying to go ahead and be one of the first teams through a lot of these builds. You don't want to fall behind all the chaos as Robop is being experienced that as he gets flanked from behind, taken down altogether as DKS and Vox are just trying to keep themselves intact. They're one of the only duos left in this lobby.
Won't be the back-to-back wins for Robab, but still a formidable game. Cammy almost costing themselves there with a Wasp, but I see the intention behind it. Now going to get Wasped out himself. They're going to need to start making a move on. It's going to be tough, but so much fighting happening one tile above them. Pink and Vico just going to watch it all unfold. They don't need to do anything too rash. Just need to stay here. They're in such a good spot. Cammy and Seti on low ground, claiming space, doing what you expect them to do every time they're in this spot. And they'll look to drop players down and pick them up. I believe they just picked up one there. At least it sounded like it. Yep, Cammy picked up an iron. And so now it's going to be up to them to try and clean up DKS and Vox's. Pink and Vico will try to squeeze them into a difficult spot as well.
Yeah, Vico doing a good job. He's going in front of everybody else, causing them to take a misstep overall. But Vico with the surprise attack onto both Cammy and Seti while they were distracted to steal away the game as they had full control from 10th zone onward.
I don't think that's a steal. I think they had full control, right? It was their game to lose with how easy things were up above. Of course, Cammy and Seti so cerebral when we see them in those sort of positions. But it was a tough spot to be in, with them being the ones having to take the fight against Vox, right? It was always going to be a very tough spot to be in. Either way, Pink and Vico, they ain't complaining at all. Such a huge win for this duo. Whenever you're a newly formed duo, going into the final major of the year, you're really starting to feel that pressure. But these guys aren't letting it get to them. They're not letting it affect them. They're doing their best to stay in this one. And a nice win to solidify what is a very strong duo.
Yeah, they are looking like one of the teams to beat here in our week 1 of FNCS Major 3 weekly finals. And when you look at it, that was almost impossible for them to lose due to the sheer amount of heals that Anas had in his inventory. So you got to give him a huge round of applause for playing that one near perfect at the end of it all.
Yeah, not an ass, mate. Not an ass, right? You're thinking throwback here, right? It's all we ever know, right? We're used to seeing Pink doing well. It's always been Pink and an ass, but now a new era for these guys, Pink and Vico, of course. Look, a very good game from these guys. Who better to break it down than our lovely analysts?
You know, I'm starting to wonder, and by wonder, I mean it's clear, if you have 9 splashes and 2 legendary slurp juices and high ground, Viv, you're probably going to win the game. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen a couple instances today already where that's kind of been the case. So many heals up on the high ground. And I mean, I talked about a little bit earlier, the meta in a meta that where you don't have the movement items to get you through some of these late game rotations. A lot of these teams are just kind of sprinting through some of these moving zones, not building at all. But you know, you have the higher ground teams who aren't really getting contested at all. They're just building for what seems like the entire games, and they're not really getting contested or shot at because they don't necessarily have to play that risky playstyle, which means all of the heals they've gathered up throughout the game, they're just there to use for the heal off if need be.
Yeah, exactly. When there's no mobility in the meta, high ground just becomes even more dominant, and we've seen it. We saw it last game, of course, with Robab. Now we're seeing it again with Pink, and this is just another good game for them. They've been on an upward trend today. They've had a 41st, 21st, 5th, and now a win in their respective first 4 games. So this is a really good sign for this team, because it seems like they're finally getting the ball rolling with how they expect to play and what we expect to see from them.
And of course, if we had to just be like a tiny little bit nitpicky for Elims, maybe a little on the low side, but listen, Victorial is still a big swing in points. Why don't we take a look at the standings? That's kind of going to be that ultimate factor to tell us how things are shaping up, right? Right now, Axe Force, Robot, they're holding on in that first place. They're like, hey, listen, regardless, we didn't win that back-to-back. It's fine, 11-2K, calm down. We're still in first place. But as we start to look down this leaderboard, gentlemen, these teams in that first and second place are starting to pull away. I mean, Cammy and Seti as well, they're right behind them.
Yeah, it's no surprise, right? This is a very Cammy and Seti-esque leaderboard, right? The most placement points out of everybody so far, and what seemingly is also the least amount of eliminations. Nonetheless, they've been very consistent throughout the day, been able to find very good layers, and they just do what they do best, right? Try to find anybody who's rotating, trying to get away with one of those risky rotates and hitting those clean shots when they get the openings.
I just know that Cammy and Say, at the beginning of the season, when they were looking at the loot pool, they were like, where's the mobility? Where's the kinetic blade? Where's the hammer? It's not there. And they were licking their lips at that opportunity. They were like, yes, this is where we thrive. This is where we can pop off, and we're seeing it right again. We saw a moment, actually last chapter, where Cammy and Say were being a little bit more aggressive in the end game. They were going for high ground a little bit more, but this time they've gone back to their old ways. It seems like this is the way they're going to be playing this season, and they're going to be trying to play for those placements, play a little bit less eliminations, but a little bit more consistently.
I actually love that point, right? Because of those other mobilities from past, right? You could just kinetic blade. Someone walks in your box. As long as they don't eliminate you, you're like, I'm going to kinetic blade away. That's it. You've wasted all these resources to get in my box, and you got nothing. For them, they're like, we're in a box now. You're with us. Really, you're going to lose. We're going to take all your stuff. So I like to see that as well. But let's come back on over to the standings. More duos to highlight here. Remember, we have 2 more games to go before we call it a day here in EU. Now, remember, Vico and Pink, they just got themselves that victory royale. They're suddenly up 8 places. They're now trying to contest that top 5, and they're not far behind. But look at someone like the Deal and Mr. Savage. These guys actually had a really strong start in case you missed out. In game number 2, they just had a massive victory royale, a massive solo clutch over on Vidil. And you know, Viv, right now they're kind of holding down that spot, but I haven't seen them kind of pop back off the same way they did in that other game.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the thing that I'm liking the most right now about this duo is that it's seemingly like they're getting consistently into the end game as a duo, but Mr. Savage just gets picked off in this instance right here, and Vidil, unfortunately, isn't able to replicate the Victory Royale solo clutch. I mean, who would really expect them to do something like that again? Yeah. But, you know, you gotta both survive into those late games, right? We want to see these guys pop off as a duo.
Yeah, we saw them below on Surge there as well, so maybe the rotations have been a little bit difficult for them, so hopefully they'll fix it for the last 2.
Yeah, now, really quickly, I want to highlight some of the numbers we've seen out of these mid-match objectives. So remember, these are not anything new. We have Vaults, we have Rift Island. However, now a duo that claims them will earn points for Rift Island being 15 or 3 for a vault, a single vault. So right now, I drop Mappy. This means with that 30 points, they basically claim 2 Rift Islands, right? So overall, looks like these guys are valuing those points. They seem to find this being an important factor in their gameplay, huh, Viv?
Yeah, we're already seeing kind of the impact of those objectives kind of play out on the leaderboard. We saw that Pink and Vico find themselves in the top 10 now after that game. In addition to the Rift Island, they actually went and claimed. And then iDrop and Mappy being the only team so far to actually claim it twice. And with 2 games left to play, Mini, we're going to have to see if it's worth for some of these other teams to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, we've just seeing iDrop and Mappy trying to fight for that island all day long. And when it works, you saw it. Game number 1, they had a victory royale, so it really can be beneficial for them. It's worth the risk, but as you can see from their last few games, it hasn't quite worked out for them, and that's been the point where they're going down. Will they go back now to maybe playing a little bit less aggressive? I say back, they haven't done it all day, so we'll see if they can switch things up. Or will they just keep going aggressive? We'll have to wait and see.
Ben, only 2 more left to go before we say goodbye here in EU, but it's that time. More games means more Fortnite action. Let's just jump back all up into it. Jacob PR, 11-2K, over to y'all.
Thank you very much, Zeke. A pleasure to be here as always, and we are very much looking forward into heading over and wrapping up these last couple of games, Jacob. A lot of action so far that I think people will be very excited about. But all eyes, I think, are going to continue to be on the battle at the Spire of Spawn. That's all I can think of it. I can't get it out of my mind right now.
Yeah, they finally won that first off-spawn battle. And I felt like you can almost sense the confidence begin to build in that team. But then they immediately got third-partied. And honestly, I'm not too worried for them because if you look at every single season prior, they have qualified in 2 weeks in the past, but there's no Surge week, so no time for mistakes. In fact, it's time for game number 5.
An opportunity to solidify your spot in the standings heading into that last game and really perch yourself up into prime position to finish the day. You just have to be the ones to take it. And over here we have another name change. It looks like our boy Queasy has decided to change his name to Castle King along with Vino. So we'll see a win, finally a win. Hooray! The kings of the castle Finally, Reign Supreme. Queasy picks up, or I should say Castle King, picks up the shotgun and delivers the goods. Oh my goodness. I thought I wasn't going to see the day.
For some reason, I thought immediately with Nebs taking him down, I thought somebody tried to third party in. But no, it's just immediately fight after fight after fight here in game number 5 to kind of start it off. A lot of these teams that may not be where they're at on the leaderboard are beginning to pick up that pace. And this is a fight we've seen a few times today to where they are okay splitting that drop, splitting the loot and going their separate ways. But this game is going to be a little different.
I'm sorry, man. My mind's still on King of the Castle and Castle King. Why did they have to change it? I don't want to have to call them that all season. Why did they have to change their names? Oh well. At least they're the kings of the castle, eh? Fire. For now. Fire, bro. Trying his best here off spawn. But Zestful and Super Eye gonna do their best to shut that one down. And shut it down they will.
Every single time these fights finish, I immediately look into that mini-map, and there goes Mariah just trying to put the shots in, but needs to be careful.
Needs to be careful what he takes him out. Nice and easy. Yeah. Super Eye was trying to revive. Yeah, he was trying to revive Zestful, but Mariah just said, nah, bro. It's over for you.
Instantly getting that loot. What do we got? Ooh. Nice legendary combat SMG, but show them 11, and they're laughing, are slowly sneaking up. Hopefully their laughs aren't too loud so they can be heard, but that's neither here nor there, because immediately he takes the rift and tries to reunite with Hero. It's a smart play, not overstaying your welcome in any sense of the word. Just take what you bought and just immediately disengage.
Some off-spawn battles. It's not an FNCS without Giras fighting off-spawn in the north side of the map, is it? And making quick work of the fighters, sort of scram quickly out of the lobby. And QB followed up as well. Giras feeling it right now.
That's a couple of battles back-to-back already won. There's Thomas. He's just trying to save as many of those heals. Go for the trades and what you're used to here at Rift Island and kind of go from there. If you kind of see the materials already, they're stacked up. Racetrack, even though it may not have the best loot overall, I think it is one of the best drop spots that isn't a named POI here on the map. Yapko and Paco slowly but surely closing in on Uguay and Gobra. 82 points so far. Now's the time to really try to pick up the pace, but they're just waiting until they start with some early damage. But since they didn't get anything, they're just going to go ahead and allow them to disengage. They're going to go back to what they were doing before. Try to get as many mats as possible before the mid-game, and they have to rotate off top of that hill. I feel like this stat right here, setting Kemi have averaged the fewest elims per game among teams with multiple top 10 finishes in weekly finals. It's just their playstyle. It's how they play. They let the lobby kind of take each other out, and then towards the mid game, then towards the end game, you see when those opportunities naturally present themselves, that's when they begin to come online and get active in these lobbies.
Yeah, that's typical Kemi and Seti, to be fair. Pink and Vico. Here landing at the pink split. And they're getting cut off a bit. Need to be a bit careful. You see them just being a bit alert. Pink likes to go over to that area to loot up, but he won't have the opportunity to do that here in this game.
You know, just really looking at that leaderboard after these last couple of games, a huge amount of where Vidil and Mr. Savage are currently positioned on the leaderboard really goes back to that clutch from Vidil. Right now, they haven't been having the best performance as a team, but that doesn't scare me away just yet from this team because that just means they haven't had their pop-off moment yet. And this players, or this full team, both Mr. Savage and Vidil, have so much potential to pop off as a full team. They're just getting warmed up as individuals.
I was getting worried. We hadn't seen the Brutal Bastion vault all day. I was thinking, has it disappeared or something? What's happened to it? But finally get to see it.
Still luck a draw in these situations. Looks like this third-party team is going to be one of the first ones to try to rotate away. Cade and Deox. I don't even know if they know Cheapo and User are here, because if they don't know they're there, this could be one of those moments before disaster strikes type situations where User and Cheapo might be able to get a beam on Diox and Cade. They're risking a lot to try to go for this, because if you look, even though it's only one tick very, very early on, they don't have any heals, at least on the side of Cheapo. He has 2 different ARs, he has 2 different heals in both big pots and minis, then he has a shotgun. So the longer they take in the storm, the harder it is going to be for them not only survive, but win the fight overall.
Yeah, but we've seen them very much open to sticking in the storm in these kind of fights before, so you won't be feeling too much pressure. They'll be comfortable, if anything.
Ooh, good shots there. Cade just trying to fire back at any sense of the word. Flunix deals a good amount of damage, but you even see some other teams. Skrill, Blue Fire coming in. Twee and him are going to end up in the same box, but now they're just surrounded and hounded. I wonder if anybody even knows that third team is there. Wild Wasp coming out as well. Just trying to funnel them into one direction or another. Even the explosive repeater rifle being used, it said, doesn't matter who we sneak up on, both of these teams can get hit.
Yeah, and look, if you're Jalen and Twy, you got to start to step it up. Right now, Jalen and Twy, they're currently, well, I say Jalen and Twy, mainly Jalen. Because for the people that don't know, there's a bit of a sweepstake right now in the community between Jalen and our boy Archie. And right now, Jalen's he's below, right? They're about 31st. Archie's sitting in around 24th. So right now, Archie's outplacing Jalen. They got a rivalry going on, and Jalen won't be too happy about that. So let's start to see Jalen pick it up a bit. That's my boy right there. I want to see him improving, rising up in the standings. Of course, we know they want them series points if they want to get back to the grand finals like we saw them last season.
You know how I know you're popular? Everybody's your boy at this stage of the game.
You know what? Not everyone's my boy. I got a lot of boys in the lobby, but not everyone's my boy.
Just don't know me how to show them. They're laughing. Trying to cause some commotion here. They're trying to be the last one laughing as they're in a 2v1 situation here. Trying to break into the box, and they take down Kyrie. Those are crucial points from the second half of the game. This is game number 5. You only have these last 2 moments here to pick up these series points and get to the top of the leaderboard before time is over. So that's why we're jumping and seeing all these crucial fights going down. So even though they did disengage, Volko and Artis are just trying to make sure they're as safe as can be at this edge of the zone, because in theory, the zone will continue to pull towards the east side of the map.
Back over towards Mega we go, and typical Mega gameplay here, where players chill in their bases, look for tags, some spare shields, gonna be somewhere down there, either in the base or in the building. Ooh, what do we have here? The Castle boys up against Tayson and Mustache with some other players in the fray as well. It looks like Hellfire and Nebs are here. Oh my, what is this fight?
These are almost every team you didn't expect to be the position they are at on the leaderboard. And King of Castle is going to be able to instantly break through a lot of these builds with that heisted Breacher, but he gets back down just a little bit. But no worries here nor there, as Castle King is right by his side on the Castle duo. They're trying to claim it as their own. successful here in this last game, but Mustache running out of time to try to get that revive onto Tayson. Third parties are coming in. He's trying to use that as a distraction, but only a few seconds, and he's a few seconds too late to try to get that res onto Tayson, so that distraction is now the same thing that makes him the focus of this fight.
That's tough. The Castle boys finally getting a chance to play a game out, and they're making a big impact. Tayson's not going to be too happy. It's another game where Mustache is going to have to fend for himself, but I really want to figure out what's going wrong with that duo. Not the kind of performance you expect to see from them at all. Good, though, to see Castle King and King of the Castle not backing down. I can't lie to you, Jacob. I was seeing a lot of people jumping on their backs after the first couple games went awry. I didn't realize how many haters these guys had until I saw them go down off spawn. There was one person in particular who had a message for them that I thought was pretty funny to highlight. So shout out to the brother that sent, he tweeted it and he added me in it, and he said, "Kings of the Castles, more like court jesters." So not the nicest thing to say to them, but they are, you know, on the rise again in the pursuit of being true kings. I shared that one with Vino. I shared the tweet with Vino, and he found it pretty funny as well. So all in good spirits, but yeah, people don't give up on them too quickly. They are the reigning FNCS champions for a reason. And even though today's not been the best performance by any means, not what you expect to see from champions, very much these guys are still going to be a threat over the course of the season. Like I said earlier, give them some time to practice the spot, they'll be good.
I would sit in silence because they're probably printing out those tweets, putting them on the wall, using it as motivation. As Moneymaker and Fanaj were already on top of Rift Island, they spotted another team taking the Rift, trying to contest them. He did a good amount of damage on the side of Moneymaker, but he immediately goes to reunite with his teammates because there is a huge strength in numbers, and these castles are just all over the map trying to take over, and now they got the 3 points from the vault this game, and they're going for 15 more on Rift Island alone.
Big stuff here. But we actually got Taco, who's got a bit of an update for us, so fill us in, Taco. What's up?
Well, we're actually going to be following up a little bit from where we touched on earlier. We saw Romob and Axe Force utilizing that jungle biome so excellently, but what's really interesting is the rotation path that they're actually opting for from their initial draw spot. They're going towards that east side and just really taking full advantage of, we saw the height takes already for the Swarm Surge tags, but the fact that they're using so many of these slurp plants to just keep these rotations so aggressively on the outskirts of shady stilts, it just is part of the reason why I think we see their elimination count being so high, because their positioning is just phenomenal.
Not only that, Taco, great breakdown, but it just shows how methodical they are in their game plans. The castle comes crumbling down. They both get sent back to the lobby, but at least they had something for their efforts here in this game to try to pick up the pace in the last and final one just around the corner. Because now he gets to kind of pick and choose whatever loot he wants, and it looks like he's going for, once again, that heisted breacher shotgun. Being able to surprise any team towards this end game is huge, not only for survival, but picking up some points. First shot was big. The second one was bigger. So as you can see, Rumble Ruins and the long white line that Seti and Cammy have to travel to get in the zone leads me to believe the zone is continuously moving towards the east portion of the map. And if you kind of look at the tilt, it has a little bit of north tilt on that white line. It has a north pole as well. So a lot of the teams are going to be looking for whatever rotation they can, and that's why you see Seti and Cammy immediately going for the mud, trying to make sure that there's nobody else nearby before they just beeline it to zone. They don't want to be one of the last teams there. Because of the lack of mobility, it could make you the focus of the lobby. Not it could, it will make you the focus of the lobby.
You never want to be that.
Every piece of loot going to Fanaj and Moneymaker. Even the vault on top of Rift Island, which has already been captured. 188 below the threshold, though. Definitely looking for anybody that is on this rotation, but since they are in zone and it's going to pull away, they might be looking to wait for the zone to close and try to pull away, but then they're going to be taking so much damage to Surge. So they have to be getting proactive. They have to be trying to get aggressive here and find. They just can't settle for nothing, because otherwise they're just digging themselves into a hole.
Yeah, and this is the time to do it, right? Obviously, this game and then the next one, and then that's it, right? Then you're sort of heading back to the drawing board, waiting for next week. Nebs and Hellfire had a very hot start to the day. Of course, double-digit elimination, second place was a game where they really strutted their stuff, but we want to see more from them throughout. Norksy in the midst of a battle here on the island, and Moneymaker's trying to do the best he can. A cone above his head is going to be nice to try find some control, but isn't actually able to replace the ramp and get the shot through, so will amount to nothing. But still picks it up. Nicely done, Moneymaker.
Picture perfect, and you're seeing how smoothly he's moving in and out of these builds thanks to that breacher. Basically one or two shot the majority of them. Now they're on the hunt for that last player as I drop and Mappy just pick up the elimination on to Diox. And you even see Archie still in the game along with Dipsy doing a good job. And I think everybody's just happy with how this performance on the day has been going.
Archie's still up. That's my G. I love that. Look, look, before the serious crunch time comes, yeah, I don't know if we'll ever get another chance to really highlight this, but I remember last season, yeah, Vino and Archie played a performance evaluation cup, and Vino and Archie won. And everybody said Vino's just carried Archie, you know, Vino's the best. How's he carried Archie to a win in a tournament with money on the line? All I'm saying is right now, Archie's outplacing Vino in an FNCS weekly final. It's not every day you get to say that, so who carried who is the real question we got going on now, innit?
That's going to be all over. That's probably going to be all over at the end of this one. The truth finally comes out.
Of course I say that and he goes down, man.
It was fun while it lasted, Levin, let me tell you.
Oh, no. Come on, Archie. You got to back yourself after I say all that. I'm talking trash for him, and he's not backing up. It's all good, though. It's always good to see Archie out here, and of course, I am just playing around.
Let's see, where is Archie? Currently positioned on the leaderboard. Going into this game, they were roughly, I do believe, still in the top 10. Maybe they kind of bounced out, but they still have one more game. They still have one more game. They're actually 24th going into this game. They have a lot of time to make up, but if you look at the leaderboard, they can still burst up a lot of placings with one well-placed game in the last moments here. But 125 above the damage threshold. Botshot Mixon remaining proactive in this situation. You don't want to even fall close to below that damage threshold in a lobby this stacked.
Yeah, it's really starting to get to that crunch time, right? We're going to have to see players like Nefrizzi and Lusher start to get a bit more desperate. Looking to outhill for now, but really got to start thinking about how and where you can deal any sort of damage to get yourself up above that threshold. Because you don't want to leave it up to the luck of the lobby.
Rotation. You can see they're not really wanting to use that Rift because they still need to look for damage when it comes to the Storm Surge. Plus, they want to look for that fallen loot. Their loadout is looking rather empty in this situation. Spotting any teams that might be falling behind. Even looking up for that Rift because Storm Surge, they're even falling deeper and below that threshold. Luckily for them, he did find some minis to try to get himself back up to shape. But there's only so many and only so much time you can use to try to out-heal him.
You can see them running back into the storm. And again, you never want to leave yourself at the mercy of the lobby as they glide through the sky here. There's not going to be an opportunity for them to deal damage as they're gliding through. It is just going to be their doom, their demise, and so that will be the end for them.
Can you imagine being that team that's just boxed up and you just looking up? Oh, it's raining loot. It's raining loot, and that could be the refresh that makes the difference in somebody's game. Probably should try to heal up right before going, but chances need to be made this close to the end. 6 eliminations for Steno and Lushi. You see that they're still below the damage threshold, so trying to put that pressure right below. They know at least one team is down there. They know so many more all around. Looks like they're toying with the idea to pop the first of many slurp juices between the two before falling down low. They're trying to finish what they started, but it does look that duo might have escaped. They rotated very, very early on, so Steno and Lucy dropped down into nothing.
It's going to be tough. Of course, you hear the wasp as well, causing havoc. Steno and Lush gonna try and move through the zone, but so many eyes on them. They're just gonna have to commit their mats if they really want to get in. But even then, even committing your mats, getting in is so difficult right now. And once they're there, what they're gonna have to show for it down below, lower materials, lower HP. They need a lifeline and fast players running beneath them. You see the desperation, just trying to force their way in. Almost accidentally box Vox up. He didn't even realize DKS was beneath him. There was a chance to get the shot off and he just ran straight past. The panic setting in, chaos all across the board, and it's only a matter of time you've got to think for Lucy until he gets taken out completely. Shots flying in from all over the gaff. 7 HP in a dream.
So how is he still alive, running? Finally making the zone. He's immediately trying to get to the action, pick up any of that fallen loot. Doesn't find anything that he can work with. Fires a shot as he turns the corner. Stabilizes here for just a moment. Breaking through the build, just trying to build himself a box that is all his own. He still doesn't have time to pop the minis because he doesn't want to waste that opportunity where he could try to go for a shot. From somebody that's just going through so many different stretches to a team high up in the sky, eye drop and Mappy. If you look at their heals as well, if this one does go down to a heal off, those mythic slap splashes heal 30 instead of 15. That is so much heals available for that team on the high ground. So somebody has to look to contest them early. Even if you just fire some shots, whittle down their shield, force them to expend their heals as fast as possible.
Ooh, Lucy's making this happen. He's keeping the dream alive for his duo. Needs to be careful. There's a player right there. Elevates appropriately and well timed. Needs to stay careful. And you see him using the materials to make sure he doesn't get caught out. Very aware of where that danger is. Malabuka in a world of danger, and anybody around him is going to be in a world of danger because he's fiery and very angry right now. Left as a solo, has to go huge to clutch up in this game. Blaha and Mixon, after picking up a revive, Blaha trying to make the way, trying to make space for his duo partner to survive.
The pullback is going to help eye drop and Mappy, and you see they destroy the builds towards the low ground. They want to lessen the chance of anybody trying to sneak up on him. With Brian and Kiro, they're getting aggressive. They pick up an elimination onto Anas, a huge siphon and a refresh to keep their game going. But from one team to the next, Tropics even finding as much loot as possible after picking down both Geary and Charas. That's a huge amount of loot that they can use as they push themselves deeper into this endgame.
Malabuka in the back of the zone. Big shots. Needs to hit him more. Can't get too ahead of himself. But you know, when given an opportunity, he's going to do it twice. And there's more opportunities here as well. The view doesn't even have a clue it's about to happen. But Malabuka can't quite get the timing. Oh dear. I thought it was going to happen. Nevertheless, Seti moving through this zone. Building in a bit of a panic, but there's some calm in the storm for him as finally gets himself in a nice spot here with Cammy where they can farm up that tree and look to move in a bit more. Looking up for height as well. Need to be careful.
Oh, perfect play for the Breacher. He's just breaking down the builds for the high ground. They notice it. They put pressure down low. Vidil and Mr. Savage into the top 11. He's making sure to get every single heal that he can, just in case this one does go down to a heal off. But he's even leading the way for Vidil, who's on the back, making sure, again, nobody can turn around and hit a flank shot, but he's out of builds, fresh out of mats, looking for a refresh, but it's DKS who finds it onto Cammy, throws the body in their box. Top 10 we go, Levin.
Look at DKS and Vox. We saw them in some trouble before we got to first moving, but they've clearly picked things up and turned their game around. Mr. Savage and Vidil, we saw the efforts to try claim low ground earlier, and after running out of mats, they're now resorting to using their shotguns, and it won't be enough to keep them in the game. DKS and Vox may have gotten hurt in all that battle though, as now DKS is left as a solo to try and use his heals in the zone, get some placement points as we enter this top 5 situation.
The team that has already captured the Rift Island 2 times for 30 extra points. They already have a huge victory on the day, and they're looking for a second one. They have full control, but DKS has a solo. This is his chance to stagger himself outside. Slurp juice being popped, but one splash left, so he's looking at every single player that was taken down before him to see if there's any heals that he can use. His eye drop, Mappy still taking control. They drop down, another elimination, but he turns, he burns, take down eye drop. Fanazin trying to put the game on his shoulders, but there's still so many heals going down towards the high ground, and it comes down to this, a 1v1 situation. Karmi, he has the low ground. Mappy, he has the high ground, and he has 7 mythic slap splashes. That is 210 possible heals. You added the med, he found more slap splashes. Mappy has the luck of the Irish on his side when it comes to heals, but Karmi, with the little bit that he has left on the Medmis, he's trying to figure out how much time he has left, but it's all out. He is fresh out of time, but he's through another Medmis. Where are people finding every single piece of these heals to try to heal off? But Mappy, once again, those slap splashes really proving to be the difference maker in this heal off towards the end, but he's down just to the Medmis and a couple bandages, which he won't be able to use. Karmi finds another Medmis, but no time to use it. Mappy, with every heal on the island, takes the game.
Feels like a bit of deja vu to previous seasons we've had with all these heal-offs going on. Oh my goodness. I'm surprised Storm Sickness didn't start to get involved with how deep we went into that game. Both those players doing all they could to try and heal off, and the amount of times they kept finding heals. Wow, okay, look, another game then goes to our boys iDrop and Mappy, and for a moment I was worried. I thought iDrop maybe got a bit too big for his boots when he dropped down there, but Mappy able to hold on, had the heal of potential, and these guys will pick up another win here today. A dominant display of excellence from a duo that I think many people have had under the radar a bit and are now finally starting to show that they are a top team in this region.
Yeah, can you imagine the feeling? Him just healing off with every heal. Why isn't this guy down yet? And then Karmi finding every med miss. How many heals does this guy have? The amount of stress both of those players just went through at the very end is the same stress a lot of these players are probably going through right now looking at the leaderboard. But we need to see who's in first place, who's in our top 10. Zeke, let us know.
You know, guys, for a moment there, 11-2K said a dominant performance of excellence. I thought they were talking about themselves there. It's like, whoa, guys, calm down. But in all seriousness, a fantastic game. Now 2 victory royales over on Mappy and iDrop. My gosh. Now, again, if we're going to be nitpicky, low on the elimination side, but quite the heal-off did this go to, boys. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it went for a while, and listen, this is one of those classic high ground games. I feel like we've seen pretty much the same thing every single game. Whoever's on the high ground pretty much just has a free ride throughout the rest of the game. They have so many heals up there, but this one in particular had a bounce back, so Mappy and iDrop were actually able to use old builds in addition to the fact that they went into the first moving zone with 100 builds each. How they managed to get to that position and only use like a total of 100 builds to get there is another question to be asked. The iJap going down a little bit early. Could have maybe got a couple more eliminations there, but Mappy closed it out.
Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to see from this team. I wanted to see, can they perform without the aid of that Rift Island? They didn't get it this game, and guess what? They're still on high, they still won the game, and they still have plenty of heals left at the end. It was so close there at the end for the heal-off, but so well played for them throughout that game.
Yeah, I guess that Rift Island from games ago, right? They were going to be on high ground either way. It just helped them be that much more dominant on that high ground. But hey, even without it, they're rocking it. Let's take a look at our standings. So do keep in mind we have one more game left to go here on the day, and of course we're playing for series points after the day. Wherever duo ends up, we'll put points on another leaderboard. But right now, Robob, Kebab, Axe Force, we've seen these guys. They finally did overtake that #1 position, and now for 2 games in a row, they've held it there. But Vivid, Cammy, and Seti are right behind them. What can this duo do to really bring the heat in this last game?
I mean, it's just got to be more eliminations for them. Right now, they have 28 total over the course of these 5 games. They're averaging more than 5 eliminations per game, and that's what's keeping them on top of the leaderboard. So really, I just want to keep basically saying the battle of Robob and their eliminations versus, Seti and Cammy and their just placement point style.
Yeah, play some points is what it's all about for them. But of course, Robab and Axforce, they're doing so good with eliminations. These final clutch eliminations to get the Storm Surge damage was absolutely vital for this team, albeit not the best game for this team, of course, going down there at 15th place. So they definitely need a little bit of a better game to clutch up. But what is that, 5 points difference between the two of them? It's really looking close for Cammy and Say and Robab. It's going to be close.
It's terrifying, and I love that Vivid brings up the good point, right? We have two separate styles happening. Robab and company, they're looking for eliminations. Seti and Cammy, they're looking to say, how close to that victory royale can we get, right? And just a couple of the games so far today, we've actually seen them with more eliminations than we're kind of used to seeing, right? Normally, it's like they'll end the game with 2, maybe 3, but they're still trying to find that balance, I feel like. Vivid, would you agree or disagree?
Oh yeah, 100%, right? And that's what Fortnite's all about, especially when it comes to, gathering up points. Now we just have the mid-match objectives that also need a little bit of extra balancing to make sure you go ahead and get a couple of those. But speaking about balance, right? Cammy and Seti, they've had some great solo clutches on the day, and I really feel like they found their stride in that mid-ground layer in almost every single game.
Yeah, they're doing a great job, and even making their materials and their utility last into the end game. And then when they need that refresh, they're actually fighting on the backside of zone. When everyone else is struggling to find their way into zone because of the less or the no mobility that's in the game right now, they're actually able to find a lot of those stragglers, which don't have the materials, that don't have the heals, and of course don't have that health. So it's such free refreshes, free eliminations for them. They're doing great.
Yeah, the duo is so surgical when it comes to because a lot of times you look over and you're like, how they have no eliminations? How do they have all these materials, all these resources? It's because they know exactly what they're doing, right? Every little thing is planned out until those final moments where they either go down or they're going to get as far as possible. Now let's take a look at the standings one more time. Remember, only one game left to go, so duos really need to bring the heat if they want to slam more points on those series point leaderboard. I drop Mappy. Remember, they now have 2 victory royales, and after that second one, they will jump up 6 whole places, looking to try and end the day in top 3. Is that possible? Do you think that could happen?
Oh, yeah, 100%, right? We've seen them claim the Rift Island multiple times, multiple VRs on the day, right? So they have already proven that they can pretty much get the 2 things in Fortnite right now that are worth the most points. So if they can combine those 2 together in this last game, then they'll for sure break into the top 3.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like both these players have sort of struggled to find their duo partner in history. It hasn't really been the best showing from them with different teammates in the past. But now, once they've come together, iDrop and Mappy forming as a duo, they just seem to come out in a different sort of way, a different beast, if you like, when they are paired up together. I'm loving the way they're playing. They're playing so bold, so risky, and at the moment, it's paying off.
I love this too because a long time ago, one of the conversations we had with Monster Deface and one of our casters is sometimes players do well in seasons because the seasons favor their playstyle, right? And so I feel like for this duo, this season is really catering to what it is they're looking to accomplish. But this is it. It is that time. We've gotten word. The final bus here from EU is here. It is ready for us to go. So for the last ride, 11-2K, Jacob PR, over to you.
Thank you very much, Zeke. It has been a pleasure to call these games thus far. What a start to the season it's been right here in EU FNCS, Jacob. So much going on, so much I didn't actually expect to even see coming into today, but definitely has been entertaining for sure.
No, it definitely has. And if you think about last season, how week 3 went to close it out because of Surge Week, some of these teams might not have that easy road, and week 3 might be a whole different ball game, but that's in the future. We're here. We're now. Game number 6 is about to start underway, but are there any big names? Is there any people, any strategies that you're looking at in this final game?
Look, all the strategies have to come out now. It's your last chance here in week 1. Game number 6 is ready.
The final moments of EU Week 1 finals come down to this. You guys saw the leaderboard. Robab with a decent lead in first place, but it's only 5 points over Seti and Cammy. Couple more points over Tropex and Hootie. The biggest difference is once we get out of that top 5, teams are really going to have to pick up the pace if they want that podium finish.
Not going to be easy, but you have to make it happen. Lunex, Xander, doing their business here so far. Cheapo quickly taken out and dealt with.
That was big. Not only was that big for their points, that was great for their game, but you add on the fact that that's a whole switch of a drop spot that they went from this side of the map to where you saw them trying to contest on over towards Kenjutsu Crossing, but we got a replay in action. Shaco's and Skydoom, the streak continues. He even forced a pickaxe out of the Castle Kings.
That is very, very sad to watch. Like that is just not what you want to see from FNCS champions. It has been a very, very sad day for Queasy and Vino fans. And it is very, very rare that we see these guys perform like this or have a day like this. It actually means that we have one of the longest standing streaks coming to an end here. Right, for Queasy and Vino, right? This is the first time Queasy and Vino have not won a game in a weekly final in a long, long time. All chapter long. Every single FNCS of this chapter, they have won a game in one of the weekly finals. Every single one. Except for
It's just scary because now you're forcing them, I wouldn't say try, because they're obviously trying in this game, but it just forces them to kind of rethink. Now they're going to practice that drop spot. Queasy, Vino, they're going to come back with a huge vengeance in week number 2 if they can make it that far. But Hellfire's in a real peculiar spot, 1v2 situation. Just like last game with Kefi coming out on top, Hellfire's going to have to make the decision. Do I continue to try to attack in a 1v2 situation, or do I try to disengage? It's actually a 1v1 as Nebs did get an elimination right before going down. And I think right now Hellfire's just looking for that reboot. Uh-oh.
oh, a nice return shot.
Huge shots. Huge shots from both of them as Kefi just goes on top. Quickly tries to disengage. Here's the reboots going off in the distance. That's vital information for him as well, even though he can't make that a primary focus of his game plan. And it does look like for a moment Hellfire's going back on over to re-engage in this fight against Kefi, who has no builds. And that's why you see him being a sort of an acrobat here to try to maintain the high ground. He drops down, tries to fire a shot on a Hellfire, and the third party comes in as well. A little bit of a helping hand, but it's Kefi who gets the credit for that elimination.
Almost had a bit of a blunder there as well, right? Because afterwards he started getting shot from a distance and he couldn't build. Venture was able to cover himself, but good job to Kefi for winning that battle out.
Just gotta go for that reboot. Gotta be careful though, because there was that third party literally just seconds ago moving in, and it looks like it was Anas and Scrapped, who were their players trying to cause some sort of disruption in the game plan. And that's a huge green light for Anas, because he sees that there is no shields on his opponent in the distance. He knows he's a solo player as well, so they are going to chase him down, get these points, and what little bit of resources that he does have on his back. Ooh. That's a little bit of a hiccup there when it comes to builds being placed, but Anas finishes the fight regardless, stands up tall. They get at least one elimination and some surge in their pocket for later on in the game.
Yeah, Nas and Strapped haven't quite had the day I would have personally wanted to see them have. But I think the good thing about this season and the way it's going to break down with series points is that as long as you're making it here and you're putting up some sort of a fight and you can do that consistently, it will go a long way. Jalen and Twy.
Ooh.
On the hunt.
Look at the chemistry between these two, though. While Twy was just under pressure, taking so much damage, Jalen not only landed a shot, but was able to reunite. I'm telling you, this team, it may not most be the clean plays that you're seeing, but their chemistry is what every team should look to kind of have.
I'm pretty sure with that Elim as well, with these Elims, I think they've just moved past Archie in points. So Jalen may have just beat the case, and he may be ahead in the Archie sweepstakes. I'm sure we'll figure that out as the game goes by. That's what everyone cares about, right? The Jalen Archie sweepstakes.
See Malabuka go down. I think the Tropex early on. Hootie's still there as well. Another team coming in. That's both Vaniac and Karmi. Into the distance, over that mountain. Zakira and Sky Jump as well. It just looked like everybody pausing for the second. and using that quick second to try to disengage. And you see every eventual FSCS champion in EU this chapter has competed in the Week 1 finals, which goes to show, even though they might not have the most consistent performances from each and every major, they're doing just enough to get into the grand finals of Major 3 and give themselves a chance at even more money, because they already got their global championship spot, some of them.
If I was one of the teams not playing right now, and I read that stat, I'd be, my knees would be trembling, shivering me timbers. Like, what am I doing? Every single winner has come and played in Week 1. Interesting. There does seem to be a correlation there across Fortnite history, you know.
What is the correlation?
Just people doing well in like Week 1 of a tournament, and then, you know, they go on to win that tournament. Think back, the earliest I think back to is like Boogo all the way back, World Cup Week 1 solos. And then obviously goes back on to win World Cup, you know, that's the earliest one I think of. And I feel like you do get that quite a bit, you know?
Yeah, so you're saying they have history on their side at least.
Literally, not even just, it's just the actual stat, innit?
They have everything on their side. They just need to follow the blueprint, the path that was already laid out for them. Vico, Pink, 180 points. They've been performing increasingly well, and you see the Wild Boss jars very, very early on. Makes me wonder if he actually picked the augment or picked it up from somebody else. We'll see if he continues to hold those later on in the game. But Moneymaker and Fnasion, another team that's been increasingly getting better each and every single time I get to watch them in finals. And last game was really no different. It came down to Fnasion and that heisted Breacher shotgun. They picked up a huge amount of points and got a great placement to top it off. So that was sneaky. That was actually sneaky. The reason why you hit those, any of the plants, whether the explosive one or the sneak bomb one, is they always go in directions of players. So if they saw it go in that direction, he could kind of guess that maybe there's somebody there, depending on which trajectory he actually hit it in. I like when we finally see these weekly finals roll around and a lot of the strategies do.
Question always is, don't want to use it too early, right? That's what people always say, but I'm with you there. I like people pulling out what they've got to offer. Just to secure, right? Especially because we know, like, with this season, you just want to be going for your best performances, you know, week in, week out. It's not a matter of having one good week and that secures it for you.
I feel like you need 2 good weeks and then a decent 3rd week. Doesn't have to be in order. So if you're going to have your kind of lackluster week at the start, it just means you have to pick up the pace in the next 2 weeks. But with no surge week this season, it's really going to test a lot of the mental game realistically. Because depending on where you're at after 2 weeks, and you have to go big in week number 3, you got to have that composure kind of top it off. As Cammy and Seti traveling through the new jungle biome near Sunsu Lagoon.
I think the one thing it'll definitely affect is people who like to switch up their duos, right? We often see it in a lot of seasons going into week 3, people just switching things up as a last minute sort of hope to try and make things work and qualify. But you can't really do that, in theory at least, of how things we expect to play out. Oh, Malabuka! I really thought he was going to do the 1v2 there. Unfortunately, that will be the end of the ride for Malabuka and Thomas, who, again, considering how well they did in the previous round, haven't quite lit the world on fire here today. And I think you can just sort of say that for all of the big names in EU, really. The likes of Malabuka and Thomas, Taysom, Mustache, Queasy, and Vino, of course, right? These are the people you expect, the blockbuster names, and hasn't quite been blockbuster days for those teams. Only one really that's showed up in that sense would be Seti and Cameron, right? In terms of the headliner duos in EU.
And the thing that I just look at it too, it just shows like the whole region, not just the top half of the region, but all of EU is just strengthening their skill. They're just getting better each and every week. So that just means that that top-heavy style of game plan might not be as viable as it was before. You're really going to have to dig deep in a lot of your strategies and really play perfect because, you know, I haven't said it since, you know, the early games of this tournament, but due to the lack of mobility, it is very, very punishing for players that even make something as one misstep in any of these altercations. And that's why you're seeing, like, even Mustache over on the side with his teammate Hide on Bush, trying to make up for lost time and the blunders they had to start the tournament.
Is this what we're doing now? Are we all just changing our names? Okay, guys, I'm gonna have a couple words with people after the event today.
If anybody could tell them anything, it's you.
I'm
They're just gonna pick me up and put me in timeout. Going down, they're not giving up. Just immediately trying to get into the box. That Yapko on the other side. They're both actually separated between the two. So as soon as Hideout Bush tries to backtrack, he could get another angle, but it's just a little bit too little, too late as Yapko and Paco once again get into the same box, hip to hip, and land a monster of a shot onto his teammate Hide on Bush, and even gets the knock. And that leads him into a 1v2 situation for Yapko. Paco, and you can see the slap splashes being used to give them the unlimited stamina. And what do they do? They immediately try to break into the box from multiple angles, backing down Mustache little by little, but he's doing a good job of fighting back. Both players' shields have been depleted in mere seconds.
Yapko, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, Yapko. What do we have here? Made quick work of Tayson, or sorry, Hide on Bush. And now there's a Mustache is gonna fall as well.
Shaky for a lot of these situations if you're looking to try to have a comeback performance here. In game number 6, everything comes crumbling down, but once again, it's just very exciting to see that a lot of these teams are really picking up the pace, but Yapko, back wasting no time. Like I always said, these bricks on the snow biome of the map, they allow you to farm up and almost get max mats. And I think the fastest I've been able to do it is just 4 different bricks, get max mats.
Yep, very fruitful in this area of the map. Vox and DKS, one of the teams you've seen be a consistent feature throughout these games. It's interesting, right? Because we always see them in situations where in the mid-game, they look good. They have a decent setup. Then sort of as we head deeper and deeper in some of those half and half out zones, you look at their positioning and you go, hold on a minute. How's this going to turn into anything decent? But yet they manage to make things work. I think it's a testament to how well they are sticking with each other, even through chaos. And that's why they're currently sitting in that top.
I don't know if that's Geary and Char still in that position. You kind of see him almost in the center of zone. One of the few teams there, the Purple Arrows, they already have high ground built into that position. They already have mats. They can build it even higher and block anybody from crossing their path. Can even block off the launch pad to prevent any bit of mobility going down. As Vico and Pink, they have a large journey to overcome, a large distance to cover here in this next rotation. You can see instead of just going straight up where a lot of those players are going to be congested at, they're going towards the left side of the zone, hoping that there's less and less players on that side. That deal looking good. One flopper though in terms of getting the HP back. You think they bought the Clicks bundle? I just see Vidil and he has the Cold Snap pickaxe.
Would you buy it?
I already did.
Fair enough. Percy, I'm just a fan of the 11 2K Taco Time bundle, Percy, but you know.
I've been had that one.
Respect. Fly and Mixon. Way above on Surge and looking to add tally as they take shots. And that player gliding through the sky. I think that was for Nayan as Moneymaker is now trying to get over to his teammate and help him out.
$778 above the Thamer's threshold. For them, their only focus really is getting to the zone. They don't have to pause. They don't have to have any hesitation of where they're going to get their damage from. Same could be said here on this side of the map as they run out of stamina. It's the only situations where the mud sprint doesn't work in this situation. It's just immediately trying to go where there's less and less players, in theory, congested at, but a far, far drastic pull to the east side of the map. For anybody hoping that the west was the slow side, just got a curse. Robot by him. He's been by himself for so long. If they are going to win EU Week 1, it's off the back of Robob himself, literally.
Yeah, these guys have been solid. Proper did not expect them to be as good as they have been so far. Robob there, I think he said 20 elims. Not too shabby.
I like his patience. Striking when the timing's right. I don't know if he didn't get credit for that elimination, but that's a good amount of damage in terms of Storm Surge, especially when you're a solo. A solo in first place at that. Replay of Mr. Savage and Vidil so far out of zone. It gets a nice refresh, which is going to allow him to save that med miss for later on in the game.
And look, the points are very tight between 4th place and 8th place, so these guys very much have a chance to sort of push their way into that top 5 if they play their cards right this game and a couple things go their way with some of their competitors.
It's like 11 points between where they were positioned at the leaderboard to start the game to just outside of that top 3. To get into the top 3, though, a little bit more work. Try to make that come to fruition. About 40-something or so points. Don't know the exact math there, but definitely as long as you know the goal that you have to achieve, you can at least realize if it's possible in motion. Orion does go down. Cleaned up by Seti and Cam, even though they're not going to get the loot right away. It does look like they're at least trying to make a play for it, inching themselves closer and closer. Getting a little bit of loot to start, trying to break to the build, but they got just enough from what they were looking for before they disengage into a safer position. This is the Seti and Cammy classic. They try to go unnoticed through the majority of the game until the late game in which they come online. From a bush to high ground. Still down on Surge. He has more than enough heals. Wild Wasp trying to displace him out of his position on that height. A good enough job as he continues to try to survive, but it's broken open. Those Wasps now doing some damage to his HP. Storm Surge as well. He gets the mini off just in time, and now he's just down to big pots. No more quick heals coming out from Robab, especially with the pressure from the low ground. This could be the last we see of first place, unless a miracle is going to be granted. He's still 74 below, and everything comes crashing down as Storm Surge on the back of DKS getting credit takes down first place.
That is tough. And first place, it was tight at the top. Seti and Cammy very much primed to just overtake them and steal first place away. Still, though, an impressive showing from Roban and Axe Force. And like you said, especially Roban, right, in terms of highlighting an individual, has been spectacular. They have 28 eliminations today. He has 20 of them on an absolute tear. And hope to see more of them doing well in the coming weeks.
That's the thing, you mentioned how small of a gap it actually is. To start this game off, it was a 5-point differential between first and second place, and it was 15 points between first and third place. So unfortunately for Roban, it is open for the taking for any of these teams trying to rise up. It's Moneymaker, F9, just trying to survive the pressure being put on from them and the rest of the lobby. They've done just enough to get above the damage threshold. So it's all about survival of the fittest here because they're so close to the zone on top of that. So it's a short hop, skip, beat away before they find some safety. They just have to survive the pressure.
I've just seen Seti and Cammy go down in the feed as well. So all of our top dogs really are struggling right now in this end game. We're dealing with Mr. Savage in their own little situation as well. Everybody having some problems. Savage finally getting cleaned up there.
They were just 11 points away from top 4. So it's going to be off the back of the deal if that one is going to come to fruition as well. Clownski trying to go ahead and move up that mountain. Quicker the better. You don't want to be one of the last teams there being held by everybody else. As Vidil almost has no choice here as a solo. The big thing that's shining bright for him is his damage when it comes to Stormshark. Just one less thing he has to worry about here as a solo. Well, well, well. Look at that mountain finally coming into play. That's QB waving his flag at the top of that one, claiming it as his own. But Mappy and iDrop, they have 2 VRs on the day. They already have an elimination. And we're going to quickly show a replay on how he even picked up that elimination while moving toward the zone.
Tough.
Ram too. Knocked on his door like Halloween and got all the candy in the world.
iDrop and Mappy looking very, very good. And if they really, really want to show what they can do to the rest of EU, they could very well go on to get a 3rd victory out today and pick up half of their games. What a story that would be for that team. And that's how you get a refresh and move in zones, ladies and gentlemen.
Right now, going to this game, first place was at 253 points, so they're 3 points away from claiming that top spot. And as long as they can stay alive, the next person to start the game was down from them themselves 36 points. And that was iDrop and Mappy, who are in prime position to try to pick up the pace here late in the game. They just need them to go down as Bacha and Mixon going to lend a helping hand, taking one more team out of the lobby. Huge refresh, but when it comes to the mats, they don't have very many hard mats. So their name is Tropix. He lost Hootie. Now he's by himself with everything relying on this, and he goes down. Our top 3 are down and out of our final game.
This is not what you expected going into Game 6. You would have expected all the teams who have been doing so well throughout the day to just roll through in the last game and almost have some sort of a victory lap. Well, unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. It's going to be up to all the teams beneath them to start fighting, hustling, busting, moving their way up in the standings. Pink very much wants to add himself to that list, but it is going to be hard without Vico to play by his side. He's used to leading the charge, but he needs someone bringing him those materials, getting those refreshes. But now he has to bear all that responsibility on himself.
It's a big task to order from any of these players as we inch ourselves into the top 15. Lushi popping the last of his heals to try to stay alive, but he's staggered back. That's QB on the other side. That's iDrop and Mappy on the high ground. That's putting pressure. Slurp Juice still being active right now as he tries to make his way in towards the zone to try to alleviate any of the pressure. He becomes the target from multiple angles. Forced down low to the low ground, even out of the zone for a quick second as Pink, he has a little bit of a smoother road here towards the finish as not too many teams are contesting him as a solo.
Pink, he's done so well up to this point, and he's looking strong still, but eventually the materials are going to have to start running low, and that's going to force him to get a refresh. Oh my goodness, I've just seen in the feed he's taking down Clownski. Maybe there is hope for Pink in this game. Such low HP though. iDrop and Mappy though, very much looking for that 3rd VR. They are looking so strong in the lobby where when we bounce around player to player, everybody's looking scuffed, everybody's struggling, low on HP, low on materials. These guys still in the prime position, and even with just 4 builds, iDrop still very, very much sitting in a spot many people would want to be in. Blaha and Mixon, one of the few competitors left in this one, but they're low on materials. And so Vox and DKS have a chance here to make the play of a lifetime. Try wrap round in the zone and maybe claim the front of the zone when nobody has any builds. They're just going to try stay in the back of the zone, and everybody now, except for them, just on bare bones, playing 0 build almost. Mappy and iDrop still waiting up above, but they need to start hitting some shots and soon.
You gotta be careful though, because the timing of those players slowly but surely floating down could be what does him in the end. Wild Wasp being thrown up, iDrop and Mappy being forced down, and now that's a quick elimination onto DKS. Back to back, they're looking for the second one as it does get cleaned up. They move themselves into the final 4, and that's what you call thinking outside of the box. When players rift above, they just go below.
iDrop and Mappy have been sensational so far today, and this could be the victory lap for them. But Blatcher and Mixon are here to spoil the party. 1 found there, and it's all up to Mappy now to try and make the heal-off happen again. We saw this a couple games ago, and a chance now with the Medmis Do Blaha and Mixon have the heal-up potential, though? It doesn't really seem like it. He's going to start to run low, and so Mappy will secure it. A third victory royale for iDrop and Mappy. Mixon and Blaha did such a good job. You thought they were going to steal it away, ruin the party, but Mappy was ready and waiting with the med mists.
And you said it yourself. There's something different about iDrop this season and the last couple of seasons. You're seeing exactly what that is. He has come out with a vengeance. He's come out with a fire unlike we haven't seen up until this point. And like I said, as those players ripped it up, instead of worrying when those players will drop down, they just did it all themselves. They took down the team at the low ground and clutched up big as Mappy going for the heal off. They tried to hunt him down, and it's just too little, too late for Blotch Mixon.
Wow, what a performance for those two. I don't know if I've ever told this story. I'll try to tell it as quickly as possible. I remember last year when iDrop was playing with Juriki, and Juriki was potentially going to leave him and drop him. And I remember asking iDrop, what are you going to do? Who are you going to play with? Who would you want to play with? And he said back then, I'd love to play with Mappy. And to see a year later what it has been with him playing with Mappy and how good Mappy truly is. He saw the vision all that time ago, and he's paying it off right now. A phenomenal performance. 3 VRs from a team in the first week of the qualifiers. You definitely do not see that often, Jacob.
Yeah, so many teams in this Week 1 finals invested so much into their duos. They invested so much as a team, and let me tell you, it has paid off strong. But we saw during the course of that last game, our first place went down, second place went down, and third place shortly followed. So first place is up for grabs, and only our analysts can break it all down to let us know who won Week 1.
Well, first off, a huge thank you to Levin, 2K, and Jacob PR for casting 6 games for us today in Europe. My, oh my. 3 victory royales from iDrop and Mappy. And let's just be clear here. No other region has done this. No other region has had a duo that has gotten themselves 3 victory royales. My, oh my, they are making a statement. I kind of touched on this a little bit at the beginning of the show, but there's a lot of duos that they're really trying to make that global championship spot. And some of them are treating this as if it is globals already. And I feel like, Vivid, this is a duo that is just doing that. They are treating this like it is now. Like they are the ones aiming for that #1 spot after everything is said and done.
The high ground strategy from this duo is looking clean, and I gotta put a highlight on the way that they really closed the game out. We went towards Rift Island. There was a rift on the ground, and players were floating up above them, so they were kind of in this like zone where they were in a 2v2 towards the end, and that low ground team ended them shooting them out. They went ahead and took the fight, and then ultimately that team that was in the rift ended up landing above them, but there was a solo alive, and as soon as that solo went ahead and engaged that high ground team, iDrop went ahead, created a distraction, and Mappy just ran away, had all of the heals that we've seen them had time and time and time again today, and ended up paying off in this one.
I mean, 3 victory royales in 6 games is absolutely insane. And I think I kind of know the reason why. Queasy Venom, where are they? They're nowhere to be seen. There are Hype Kings on Europe, and they haven't made a single endgame today. So it almost begs the question, is iDrop and Mappy the second place height dominating team? I think they are. They've proved it today. If Queasy and Venom aren't in the game, look up, because it's going to be iDrop and Mappy.
Which is crazy, because remember, the duo decided at the start of the day in Game 1, they were going to take everything they've known, everything we've known, and just toss it in the air, right? Going from Kenjutsu Crossing over to Secluded Spire. They decided, hey, we want to change it up for the day, and it cost them. But for iDrop and Mappy, hey, they're like, sounds good to us. We'll be the kings of high ground. King of the castle, well, we're kings of high ground and kings of the day. Let's take a look here at our standings. I want to see how things ended. Who is in that #1 spot? Now, please do remember, we were playing for series points, so after this, we're going to put points on a separate leaderboard based on total placement. iDrop and Mappy, they start major #3 in a huge way, coming out in that #1 spot. They are trying to send a message to everyone else. Hey, one of those spots to globals, that's going to be ours.
Yeah, I mean, listen, most points on the day is going to be putting them in #1 spot, obviously. But I'm looking at VRs. They had the most VRs. We already mentioned it. 3 of them is absolutely absurd. But also, they played into the objectives, right? Those mid-match objectives, claiming the Rift Island twice. Also boosting their points just enough to actually actually go ahead and take home that #1 spot.
Yeah, you can see by their placements, their eliminations, they haven't been too crazy on either one of those. It's just been consistent victory royales when they are making it to that end game. I'll read off their game history. First, 15 to 36, 36, first. It's not bad at all from them, is it? When they make it into that top 10, they are winning it.
That is insane. Right behind them, though, Blotch and Mixon, we saw them. These guys, alongside DKS, have just been the consistent top 5s. The consistent top 10s we've seen over and over. And to end the day in second place, this is also a message, right? Because it may not be that first, but to come in second, to be able to say, look, we're coming up in just as many points. That's where I want to be.
Yeah, the chase was on for Blotcha and Mixon. I want to give a big shout out to Robob because, they were in first place for most of the day. So that was actually incredible to see. And also, Cammy and Seti, I got to give a big shout out to them as well because they were looking very, very clean on some of those mid and low ground layers.
Yeah, they really were. We got to see a little bit of what we used to see from them, playing those mid to low ground layers, playing hip to hip as we do expect from this duo, and not too high on the eliminations. We saw them kind of try and switch their strategy a little bit today, try and go for eliminations earlier on, and I think they're just kind of finding their feet in this current meta, in this current way that they're playing, and I'm sure that they're 6th on the leaderboard today. I'm sure if they make it to finals next week, they'll be looking to get a better performance, and I believe they will, to be honest.
Yeah, the no mobility is definitely a difficult obstacle to overcome, right? Because a lot of these duos are thinking, are we being contested or do we have mobility? Let's go get Surge. That's not the case, right? So many of them have to come up with new plans, and with the reintroduction of that Siphon, they're all thinking, all the plans we had, let's reassess those, right? So much adapting has to be happening here in the game. I also wanted to highlight Vico and Pink, right? A duo that just recently came together. They're trying to make a spot in Globals, and honestly, they had a good showing today.
Yeah, and honestly, I was watching this last game right here. Of course, they're going into it. Vico and Pink both alive, and they were looking very, very healthy. But unfortunately, soon after, Vico did end up going down, and Pink was actually left to solo clutch it up. And he put on a run. Me, Zeke, and Minnie were watching. We were like, hold up. I thought Vico was supposed to be the one that was mechanical on this duo.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. Pink was doing a great job. What's that? 7 eliminations you can see at this stage of the game is absolutely massive for this team. And they're just able to play these layers so well. When you have 2 players that are able to be fraggy, we saw it with Robab and Axforce. This is a team that will be able to replicate some of that success as well. If they can fix a few of their mistakes in mid-game, make it to more of these end games as a duo, this is where this team can really find success. And it's only week 1, the first time we're getting to see them perform in FNCS, and I'm excited.
It's going to be so good, man. Remember, we have a couple more weeks here. Then we have Grand Finals, Last Chance Major. The next little bit for Fortnite is going to be absolutely nuts. Now, another special thing we have is actually an interview. We have one of the players we watched compete. He came in 3rd place today. It is none other than Roban. We will be getting to talk to him. And of course, a huge congratulations, ending the day in 3rd place after Major #1. This is a fantastic start. I want to know, though, how are you and your duo feeling about the day so far?
I'm feeling good. Just a bit of mistakes, and I'll make sure to fix them next time.
Yeah, what do you guys feel like is maybe a hurdle you guys are trying to overcome? Because, look, 3rd place is still amazing, but obviously the work's not done. So what do you guys feel like are those little things you need to shore up?
Maybe, just fix small mistakes. Don't be, greedy for, kills, or, just wait and play it slow, and, yeah, just get the end game.
And you're talking about being greedy for eliminations, but it seemed like eliminations were the biggest factor in terms of getting you guys the most points. Is that the strategy for you guys? Just get as many eliminations as possible? Or talk to us about your strategy going into those end games.
Our strategy is to be aggressive, but also play slow and get easy kills with the rifle. But I would say this time, I think we overfrag a bit because this is usually not their playstyle, but it works, I guess.
Yeah, you went crazy on those eliminations. You particularly, of course, you had an unbelievable amount throughout the day. What is the secret? I want to know. How do you play so effectively, staying alive into that late game and picking up eliminations?
Just playing my life, I guess. I think just keep playing slow and don't overcommit stuff, and you will actually be really good in the leaderboard, really good points, and yeah, your place very good.
Yeah, I love to see it. Well, hey, Roban, thank you so much for your time. For the fans at home, where can they look to find you guys?
on my Twitter or my YouTube. It's called Roban FN, both of them.
Thank you so much, Roban. Best of luck in the coming weeks, and we hope to see you guys in the finals next week. There you go. Getting to hear from Roban himself, a man of little words, but very much in the way of talent. My, oh my. EU has not disappointed, but gentlemen, I have to remind myself, tomorrow is NA. And I feel like if there's, maybe what's a thing we could take from EU that we're hoping to see incorporated into NA tomorrow?
I think it's going to be the high ground, right? Maybe some of these NA teams are kind of watching, seeing how free a lot of these EU teams got away with the high ground. Not even necessarily the high ground takes. It's just like if you kind of had it during like 7th, 8th zone, you kind of just had it for the rest of the game. So maybe they'll watch this and go for a little bit more contesting on the high ground.
I think a lot of teams will be contesting that Rift Island as well, because we've seen it make the difference right now. iDrop and Mappy ended up coming out on top because of the Rift Island points they managed to get. 30 is absolutely massive. So I think a lot of NA teams will be looking at that and thinking, if we get those points, then we could be in a similar situation. So I hope to see that tomorrow.
Mid-game objectives, man. I'm telling you, they're very important. Now, very quickly, let's touch on the broadcast schedule. When are we back next? Well, don't forget, tomorrow, as we mentioned, we'll be back for the action over in NA. But if you want to see specifically the action in Europe, when that is, here is a breakdown for you guys. July 29th, of course, 2 big things to note. 1, Grand Finals is going down August 12th to 13th. You want to come back for that because that will give us the top 10 going into Globals. But Last Chance Major, August 20th, will be the final opportunity to try and claim spots going to Global Championships. That is going to be some of the craziest and high-stakes play we've seen up until this point, so please don't miss out on both of these things. We hope to see you guys then. Now, of course, I've talked about it a lot because I'm super excited about it. Global Championships are coming up, and guess what? There's still tickets available. We have an amazing little ad. In case you didn't see it at the beginning of the show, we want you guys to check this out. This is the Global Championship.
The best players in the world all battling it out.
Insane matches already today.
These are the moments that make these players championship material.
One chance to make it happen, and they take it by force.
It is going to be absolutely insane. Global Championships, I'm telling you, do you want to go to Copenhagen, hang out with us, watch some incredible Fortnite action? Don't miss out. It's going to be absolutely insane. Anyway, guys, after today, how are you guys feeling about the 6 games we've watched? Anything that you want to see improved coming into next week?
Listen, I feel like I didn't see enough mud used today.
Fair.
I want to see a little more of that. I think the interview that we had towards the end there with Roban, we were asking about all these eliminations that he kept getting. He was like, nah, we're just playing slow. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, you're playing slow and getting like more eliminations than anybody else. How's that working? I have no idea. Excited to see if they can continue to play slow next week.
Yeah, continue to play. I mean, slow for them is different than slow to us, I think. Slow for them is 30 eliminations a game, apparently, which for us, that is like 0. But no, it's great to see those guys popping off. And it's been a great day overall. The whole competition has been fantastic. I was kind of intrigued as to how the players were going to adapt to the no mobility. And I think a lot of players were taking those slap splashes, and I really expect to see that become the meta this season if no other mobility gets added or anything else changes, because that's, I think, the most important thing for these teams on the rotates.
Absolutely. Well, that is it from us here for the FNCS in EU. Again, huge thank you to Jacob PR and Levin2K, our casters. Of course, thank you to these 2 incredible human beings, our analysts, Vivin and, of course, Mini Miner. And, of course, shout out to Taco, great mid-game analyst. And that's it for us for now. But we'll be back tomorrow. More Fortnite, more action. As always, we love you. Keep yourself safe. And we'll see you on that battle bus.